are not so up to date. So after this mapping exercises, people will know really precisely how many people live and where. They've held missing mapathons in Zimbabwe. Now we're having one here. Our settings, but we all have the same goal. We try to organize a Skype call with our aid worker who is working full-time in Harare and has been based there for more than 4 years, but unfortunately the schedules didn't match. So I then had to do the country presentation. If anybody has a question or two now about Zimbabwe and overall about the humanitarian context, I'd be happy to answer, but if not, then I'll let you take the charge. Of course, you can ask at any point later on tonight as well. Thanks.
Okay, can you hear me? Sweet, okay. My name is Juuso. Hey everyone. I'm so glad to see so many of you. What I'm gonna present you, unfortunately only on this screen at the end, what are we actually going to do and how. So basically, I introduce you to 2 tools that we'll be using called HOT Tasking Manager and ID Editor, which is the actual tool for editing OpenStreetMap. There we go. Seems that the resolution doesn't quite match. Let me give this a minute while I try to figure this out. Okay, I think this is the best we can manage. Sweet. Okay, so what is HOT Tasking Manager? It is a tool, web-based tool for funneling and directing our aid to a certain area. So basically, when we have a crisis area or area where we're going to do some mapping, we need to be able to somehow divide the task into parts that it's easier to digest for us editors. So basically what this does, it will bring the OpenStreetMap mapper to the right area, and it also prevents the 2 mappers who can be working on the same area at the same time, so no double editing would happen. Here, the website is tasks.hot-osm.org, and the actual code for today's project is 1673, which will bring you the tasking manager site in Zimbabwe in Lima. The internet seems to be a bit slow. Okay, here we go. So here you see like a brief introduction to the task at hand. When you click it, you will see OpenStreetMap from the area. And basically here, first on the description tab, you see a quick description about the task. Instructions will give you more detailed instructions what needs to be mapped there. I'm going to return to that very soon. And then that will show the history on the project, all the OpenStreetMap users have used it, and send some statistics. Basically, what we're going to focus here on is the instructions, which will give you I'm going to go through this orally, but you can always check on this tab. And you want to go to the contribute tab. Basically, what you will see is a map of the area. At least hopefully you will see. There is like a red area, which is the most urgent area, which has been mostly mapped. So we're going to be focusing on the grid. You see different size rectangles. These are areas, the divided parts that we want to be editing on. The area is quite large. So what I suggest on let's say a rectangle like this, click, it will become active. And this means that you can start editing it. Actually, can you see the whole left side of it or not? Most of it at least. Okay, well, hopefully if you have the tasking manager open at the same time, you can kind of figure out what's going on. Okay, that's a good idea. I'm going to squeeze it a bit. There we go. Okay, so you see different colored rectangles here. Orange means that someone has already worked on it and marked it as done. So the area, the things that we needed to map, it's already done. This person thinks it. What needs to be done next is someone, experienced mapper will go and validate it. But what we'll be focusing mostly is trying to get all these gray rectangles yellow today. So when you click on a rectangle, like now you have this light blue one, that's now I've chosen it. And you can see the history, who's been working on it, and so forth. I'm going to click Start Mapping. Click. The sound effects are extra. Maybe I shouldn't be doing that. Anyways, and then here we go. You can see the history of it. And you see Edit With. You will click that little menu and choose ID Editor. Amazing thing will happen. Now a new tab opens in OpenStreetMap. So now we're moving away from Tasking Manager, which is kind of this organization tool, to actual OpenStreetMap, where we'll be using ID Editor, which is that browser-based editing tool for OpenStreetMap. Sweet. I will give 30 seconds for error. And you can. Okay, we're almost there. So when I click Edit and chose ID Editor, there's actually, now we don't see a map, we see a satellite image of the area. And this is the data what we're going to be using for editing, actually creating like a vector data about this area. The purple rectangle that you see is the actual tile, the extent of the tile that we just chose. And we can start zooming in and editing it. So the things, what we'll be focusing on mapping, like Eva told before, is roads, waterways, land use, and buildings. Basically, there's 3 different kinds of tools, vectors that we can draw. We can choose from background set, start. And there seems to be a little bit of a bug here. Let me just start it again. Okay. And actually, that was a good thing, because now we have the area. You see, it's quite a big area geographically. We want to split it because it's easier to work on the smaller tile. So just under the Edit with ID Editor menu, you will see a little thing called Split. If you split it, it will break the area into several smaller rectangles that are easier to work with. In the 4, and now we'll choose one of the 4 and start mapping, and hopefully this time we get through. And what you do when you click Start Mapping, you lock the screen. So anyone else using the HOT-OSM tasking manager rectangle, so come on the same area, helps us to work, so to speak. Okay, again, we get a great demo effect. Reason today. Browse. Okay, here we go. And by the way, I try to be as brief and concise as possible. So if there's any question that arises, just feel free to interrupt me. So just make a sound. Okay, so here we are closer, and we see here in the top line we have points, we have lines, we have areas. With a, like you can see, like let's say we want to start mapping on a road. So basically that would be waiting for the tiles to load, just a second. Okay, so we see some tiles here. The data we're going to edit consists of nodes. These are like vector dots that have relations to each other. So one point is just one node. A line is a relation between two nodes. And area is an object that consists of many lines combined together. And as we get the slow right now, okay, for example, so here we would be seeing a road. So how do I do a digitizing on a road? You take the line tool and start just tracing the road. When you feel like you're finished, you can stop it, adding attributes to that object that you just created. So we'd be mostly doing roads, unclassified. Say if it seems like it's more like a path, which only pedestrians, only people will be only walking on it, you can classify it as path, like this. And basically here, now I have one object active, that is segment. All the tabs, yes. Yes. I will show again where I selected the path here. So when I click on the object here, you can click, just make a new line here. Let's imagine here would be a path. On the left side menu, you will see a menu that actually shows you all these different kinds of objects. So now we'll be calling it a path. Now it's a path. Now if saving this would end up there, but I don't want to do it because it's clear that there's no path over there. So if I had a mistake, I can always go back by using this back arrow or just using standard Control-Z. So that one by one going. So that is a line. And when you will start mapping, you should be focusing on roads and on waterways. So basically, instead of road, let's imagine this road segment here would be a river as a river, and then instead choose water features. And let's call it river. And there we go. And now it shows up as a map. As a river. Everyone following so far? Any questions? Yes. So I'll be going try to be as brief as possible. So these are the line segments that will be edited. Then, other important thing is to do, of course, the residential areas. So, and for that, we will use the area tool. Right now, I have a tile that it's mostly uninhibited as it looks. But if I zoom closer, you will start seeing housing. There was some housing on this road I checked earlier, but now I'm unable to find it. There we go. Okay. So I don't know, can you see from the big screen? But there's some like smaller tiles here. These are clearly houses. And we're going to be using a basic rule of thumb that if there's more than 3 buildings, we'll be calling it as a residential area. So you will choose the area tool from the top and just draw a polygon in the area of these houses. So on the left, we will choose land use features and call it residential area. Now, of course, it would be nice to combine this to the road network. So we'll choose the line tool. Here we see a bigger road. I will click on it, share a node, so it's connected. And it's an important part here is good to go inside. So that last node is inside the residential area. This will make it connected, these two features. And then I would call it, let's say, unclassified road. And now I will also, there's some buildings, and we were asked to also map the buildings. So again, you would choose the area tool. You will choose the individual building, trace the corners, click on the last node, boom, it's finished. And we would again, this time take building features and just call it building. Or tags, but this time we don't know so much about the area. We'll be focusing on the base tags. And now a really nifty little thing that's very important for you guys to remember. When you do buildings, they tend to be rectangular in shape. So you can right click on it, left click on it. And here in the menu, what will pop up, you will see square the corners of this area. This will make the corners 90-degree angles, which is a very good thing for buildings to do when you edit OpenStreetMap. So you don't have to be so exact. Try to be exact as possible, but you can always make them 90 degrees out. You do it real quickly. The building here. Instead of clicking the menu, you can always just click S, and it will make it rectangle. It's just a keyboard shortcut. Okay, so those are the three main things: rivers and roads. Classifying the roads unclassified if it's something that vehicle can drive. Residential areas, and map also the buildings. Smaller paths. Let's say this one here, and you will see all it as here. Combine saving the fact. So if I would want to be saving this, you see on the top right, you see a button save. Yes, I don't want to do it right now, unfortunately, because I didn't do a very good job, I think. And I also edited outside of my little purple rectangle. Only when you click save, the changes that you did will be updated on the OpenStreetMap. Before that, the editing exists only on your browser. So be sure to do saving often as possible. So the question arose here that what about if I edit outside the purple rectangle? Well, this will only create, you will still edit the OpenStreetMap, but you risk that someone else is working on the area at the same time through Tasking Manager, and then you would be doing double edits. And so you shouldn't shoot what I just did here. This is only a demo in that sense. Thank you, Woko, for pointing that out. So let's say you're on your little purple border here. A road going through the border. So it's nice to give a little gesture for the next editor. So instead of with the road, like kind of going, okay, that's my border there. Just go a little bit over. So you kind of give this initiative for the next person to, okay, there's a road coming from there. I will continue from there. And it's kind of like this. OpenStreetMap. Then a few words about actual how to approach the mappable area. There's like many different ways, and people like to do one way. What I like to do is a systematic way, in that sense that you go through the area, like you try to find the main road first, and the general sense of your little purple rectangle. And then when you got the roads and the main rivers, then it's kind of, oh, I saw some buildings there, and get the idea how to, when you do also land use, residential areas, which is more than 3 buildings, and at the same time, you can do also like some more major roads, or the unclassified smaller roads. Or, of course, you can just start following the road, but what we want you to do kind of is to finish, if you can. This is a big task, so it's not necessarily that it will happen, to finish one little rectangle. So then some other user will come and validate and see if you did a job, or should a good job, or is there something that you missed. Any questions at this point? Yes, thank you, Eero, for reminding me. As Eero pointed out earlier, you most likely will be encountering a lot of HOTs, and these HOTs tend to be round. Make a round building. The bad way would be to start doing it as a line tool and start to do like million little nodes there. Right? You can just make a triangle that is like approximately. This is not a round building per se, but you get the idea. You make a triangle, you finish the polygon, and if you just click the button O, oops, you have to edit like this. Now if you click shortcut O, or you can choose it from here, little small menu, make this line circular, boom. Suddenly the building is circled, and that's a lot easier than doing it by hand. And then also a cool little tip, you can always choose the things that you actually did. So if I click on it, and you can copy it by using just usual Control-C and Control-V. Oh, but let me see. You can see now it's actually, I made a copy of the area. So if there's a building with us, you can very Control-V and just create the whole village very fast. And sorry, what was the other thing you pointed out? Circular buildings, and was there something else? Yeah. So there's a question. Welcome. Oh yes, thank you. Right. Sweet. So we actually saved our edits in OpenStreetMap. Clearly, you should do it every 5 or 10 minutes. But then you feel like, okay, I'm done with mapping this far. Or okay, I'm going to mark it in the tasking manager. So you're just going to save here in ID editor in the OpenStreetMap, and you're going to open your tasking manager tab. And here you can leave a comment, a brief comment. I did some buildings in the east. Most of the roads are mapped. Work needs to be done in the south. Something like this for the future mappers to be like leave a message. And then you can click either stop mapping, meaning that someone else will come afterwards, or you can return to it after, or you can mark it as done. Both of these options, stop mapping and mark as it's done, will unblock the current little grid, the little rectangle that you've been working on it. So it will be showed as available again for everyone else using the tasking manager. Okay, so we had a question here that when is the actual tile done? So OpenStreetMap and at this time the task manager uses peer review system as, let's say, this video. So basically, when you think it's done, looking at the instructions, you mark it as done, and then someone else will come and go through it. And if that person also thinks, yes, this is done according to the instructions given, then boom, it will turn into a green one.
I mean, is everything covered?
Oh yes. Okay. So at this time we're doing no per se like crisis, nothing but humanitarian mapping. So OpenStreetMap gives like in unlimited ability. You can like map each individual tree, but this manager and OpenStreetMap wouldn't be like, it's not the idea here. We try to find answer to questions where people live and how to get there. So roads and buildings and residential areas. Questions?
On my box, I made one row as like a big row. But so what if same road non-separate? What is called?
Okay, here we had an excellent question. So basically, someone else worked in the tile that you chose. So there's already existing road, and you're working. You want to continue it, or you're coming from the other direction and you want to join it. So maybe I show it on the big screen as well. But basically, what you do, you use the line tool to create the road, and while you approach the end of the other road, you will simply And here would be a road, and it would continue far away. And I'm coming here building another road. So how do I connect to this road? So you go and you search, and you see this little reptile, like the node kind of pops up. Can you see it? When you click on it, you actually combine it. Now we made like 2 segments into one. And when you click on it again, you stop it. Did that answer your question?
Not exactly.
Oh, sorry.
Last answer is very useful, but my question was, if I search one street as a pedestrian, and I pass in pedestrian,
Yes.
right behind the road,
Oh, okay. So the question was actually that if there's a difference in interpretation of the mapper. So if someone is, let's say, doing a tracking of road, and he classified it as an unclassified road, doing it, and you're saying, oh, I think this is actually a pedestrian track. So what do you do? So the thing is, that's a good question, and it's a tricky one. There can be many answers to that. What I would do is kind of trust your own idea of it. Let's say in Africa, a road that was the unknown road suitable for vehicle should actually turn into a pedestrian road. And of course, there's always human error. There can be mistakes. So that is something also for the next step for the validation. Can we go through and see the local area? Then also someone locally who has local knowledge of the area can give you the kind of definitive answer to that. So that's for my part for now. If you have more questions, feel free to ask and raise your hand, and I'll come. Happy mapping.
Just one practical thing. There's an empty room behind the white screen, so people who are still standing on don't have tape yet. Feel free to go there. You have your own screen there, so you will be able to see the exact same thing that is on this white screen here. And most likely there will be more fresh air there. Air conditioning is pumping on full speed, but seldomly there are so many people in this cafeteria at any given time. So if you feel like that you are running out of air, just everybody breathe a bit slower. We are not even able to open the doors because the alarms will go off. So let's hope we don't suffocate here. And if somebody didn't notice, the restrooms are where you entered this cafeteria from. Yes, Wi-Fi. So there's 2 Wi-Fis, big, and then some numbers and letters afterwards. No password. Today 100 megabytes downstream, and then there's another one called PK4GX or something like that. And that's 25 megabytes under 4G connection. MikroTik is under cable, 100 megabyte cable, and the TP4GX is 25 megs under 4G SIM. And the TP4GX wireless password. And I'll be putting it on the big TV screen, but you can also come and have a look at the password here from the box itself. So if one Wi-Fi doesn't work for you, switch to another one. If either one of them works for you, feel free to put on your mobile phone's hotspot, and if that doesn't work, I'll bring you a network cable. And if you don't have an internet connection, then you're
Kyllä mä toimiksaan lopettamaan jossain. Mä lähden suomeksi niin kuin varmaan.
One more thing. Taking pictures and posting them to Facebook and Twitter. So if anybody, the face is being posted to internet for the whole wide audience, just come and grab me at some point, and I'll make sure that your face won't show up in any of the pics we post online.
Tässä niin näkee, että on sellaista jokitaloa hossia. Tämmöinen pienistä.
Kerrottaa mikä on joku kinttupolku ja mikä on joku oikea tie.
No niinpä.
Vaan menee
Minä olen nyt varmaan sen jotain kuivuneet. Mitä mä en tiedä, kannattaa tämmöisiä niin kuin tiedättää. Mä en toisaalta että mikä täällä on mukaan tekemättä.
Okay, guys. Excellent question, Rose. So when you're marking waterways, when you're marking rivers, the direction of the flow of the water. Well, this is of course very hard for us to know exactly. We would basically need some elevation model and so forth. So what you can do there on the west side of the area, there's a big lake. So I think it's a pretty safe assumption that generally the direction of the flow of the water would be from east towards the west. Of course, some local variation might happen with the tributaries and so forth, but I think you could use that as a rule of thumb. And don't hesitate to, it's not that big of a deal if it goes actually the wrong way. It's very easy for some local to fix later.
Että tämä oli silleen, että tämä ei ole valmis, mutta sitten täällä kuitenkin joku on tehnyt jo aika paljon.
Joo.
Niin tavallaan täällä on tehty näitä jokia.
Joo.
Sitten nämä kuitenkin niin tälleen... Löydy oikein mitään teitä tai mitään taloja tai mitään.
Jos. Entäs jos siihen zoomaa sisäänpäin ja tuntuu siltä, että kyllä sieltä joku katkoksen kohdalta niin jokin voisi löytyä, vaikka se ei niin selkeä ole, niin sitten sen jälkeen se vaan voi.
Ei tää varmaan jatkuu.
Tuosta voi melkein miettiä, että onko tuo edes jokin ollutkaan. Se on niin sarjassamme, että ennen kuin on katsellut noita vinkkiä niin tosi paljon, niin ei voida sanoa, että miten oikeasti jotain mikä ei. Niin kuin, just tuommoiset niin kuivuneet suomat, niin onko ne sitten sadekaudella ihan hirveitä monsunjekkiä vai onko se vaan eläinten puolustaa vastaan. Yhtä kaikki, jos ihan noin lyhyt pätkä, vaan kyllä meillä tuon yhdessä ja kaiken yhdenmukaisen järkevyyden vuoksi ei jokin alajouden hylkestä. Tuommoisen voi mun mielestä ihan turvallisesti yhdistää toisin. Klikkaa vaan sitä viimeistä päätä siitä ja jatkaa sitä viivalla piirtämistä siihen seuraavaan. Juuri noin. Sitten se on siinä. Se voi tukua, että me katsotaan tapainen eskiä kummin päin tahansa.
Tää pitää merkata esimerkiksi.
Joo. Katsoo, klikkaa jompaan kumpaan näistä ja katsoo minkälaiseksi se on merkattu, niin sitten voit sen jälkeen laittaa sen samanlaisiksi. Elikkä se on just näkyy, että se on puro. Joo, ja sitten se voit laittaa sen kanssa puroksi. Ja sitten se on yhden mukaan. Nyt sulla on tällainen yksi ediittistä talletta. Koska se on numero kasvaa sitä mukaan, kun se voi kaikki.
Tavallaan tietysti toi, että mitä otoksi nää
ei tule siellä että jos siellä niinku puita kasvaa, niin ei sillä silloin kyllä ihan hirveästi opettaa.
Siinä on joskus ehkä ollut jotain.
Ei enää.
No, se oli aika nopea, se meni kyllä aika Joo. Ei mitään.
Tässä miksi tämä on piirretty nää? Sitten tää tuolla toista ei ole. Miksi nää on piirretty? Ehkä siitä voi siinä olla, että sitä olet tekemään liian tarkkaan. Voi olla. On liian hankalaa aloittaa. Saattaa poistaa.
Ja sitten se pitää eka vesistöstä vai?
On alkuvuonna. Joo, ihan.
Toissapäivänä ja koitetaan löytää tehdä tekemistä. Ei oikein ole. Sitten seuraavana päivänä ilmoitamme meidän koordinaattoria.
Koko ajan sille. Keskittymis töissä. Muu. Mokkaillaan. Siinä jo ääni. No niin. Aina olisi vähän parva paikka. Ihan niin kuin vahvasti selkeä. Tää on oikeasti jotain keinoja selkeästi. Ehkä vaan vaikea.
There is. It's difficult to get. Well, one thing is that you can zoom in and out, but then basically you can do like this without. It's kind of a long and subtle push instead of then clicking on the nose. So that's the way. But then of course accidentally then you might make a note and then you can instead or go back to erase the task if you by accident. Okay. That makes it easier. So that's what we need now, but that's it. Otherwise everything okay. And it's tricky also when those dry rivers are really easy to road. Yeah, and people might, but it's good to practice because then people of course use those.
Stimulus maybe is the something before here as well. Because that can happen. It can exist in road and then it turns into happens. Because it's common. Often it's very hard to find data. There is like You're right, because I was thinking because the manager's so much you're right, it's probably a slow one to find follows and build that.
Yeah, and I think this is the
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think you're correct. So I would say, use your what adjustment. Like, if it looks like I'm passing it out, then I find this one. In terms of the path, then making it you know, this is like there are starting to get into this browser based tools like that. This part is the thing. Now, because it is and this part here,
this could be a path.
yeah. Personally, what I would do is I would make this thing, I would make it like simply translating that. But at the same time, it really helps that you have can you see, can you put something like
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good question. This is the tricky part when you do like implementation of a lot of error.
In the case here, there's one that
You could, but I wouldn't do it. The most important question here is there's a problem. And also, if you see, let's say, the purpose for this method is to try to find where people are, how to get this is the first focus method. Because there other people come back later on that they use get their purposes to find
Siellä mä uskallan. Karamelli.